you kind of think through some ideas too. All right. Next slide. Okay, today we're going to talk about, like I said before, some trends, some information about our profiles that we at a state level are looking at and using when we help go out and talk to vendors and do our media buying. Some of the definitions and terminology that exist in the space to help you understand that. A little bit about our co-op offerings that I mentioned that we offer that might help make media buying easier for you. Where do you start if you've never done it before? And then we'll open up with a Q&A at the end and happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. Also wanted to say to everybody, for the Q&A, if you have any questions as they come to you, feel free to drop them in the Q&A part of Zoom, not in the chat, but drop them in the Q&A part, and I'll be moderating that and make sure I can pull those up at the end of the webinar so we can get you some answers. But without further ado, I'm going to hand the baton over to Nicole to kick us off.
Perfect. So let's talk about the landscape. It's like nothing it even has been. Every day it changes. Nothing like it has been even a few years ago, right? As consumers, we're constantly evolving, not just in what we're consuming, but in how, where, why we're even engaging with it. From scrolling through some of the short-term videos on social media, streaming podcasts during our commutes, or maybe not commuting these days, work from home, mine's going all day long, to binging ad-supported shows on connected TVs. Our time is so fragmented, and I think we all feel that in our day-to-day. Our attention is more selective. Our expectations for relevance in what we're seeing and what we're engaging with from a personalization standpoint, those are higher than ever, right? Over 3/4 of people want that personalization in their day-to-day experience when engaging with media. And what's driving this shift? It's not technology. I know AI is so hot right now. It's everywhere you go. It's not technology that's driving this fragmentation. While it certainly does help and does play a role there, it's us, it's the consumers. We're demanding content that fits seamlessly into our lives. And as that demand is changing, so does the media mix that you need to put forth. Linear TV, while obviously still part of the equation, it's not the default anymore. We're not just sitting in front of our cable boxes and logging on to whatever is playing and hoping that it's something that we're interested in. We're seeing that time spent grow across platforms like YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Substack. All of these kind of unique pieces of our day-to-day are aligning with our mindset and what we're interested in that moment. So as marketers, we have to remember we're consumers first, right? So let's think about it from a marketer standpoint. It's our job to understand these evolving behaviors, not just where audiences are, but how to meet them with the right message at the right time in the right format. And that's how we've created our partner program lineup. So with this fragmentation and evolution in mind, the ad-supported platforms like Pluto TV, Tubi, if you're familiar with those, that's where our CTV and OTT offering comes into play. We also have our linear TV program with Spectrum as well to capture, like I said, both the traditional viewers and streaming audiences. While it's not, the default anymore, traditional TV still does have a large share of overall viewing, for especially those live tune-in moments that you can't necessarily get on the streaming platforms. And then when thinking about our creator content, we've included a new program this year that helps you identify and evaluate potential creators that meet all of your criteria. We've also seen that growth that you can see on the third point here of streaming audio and podcasts. So in the last couple of years, we've actually added that to our partner programs as well, so that you don't have to worry about meeting the high monthly minimums for some of those streaming platforms like a Spotify. And we know paid social is crucial to the mix too. We have a paid social program through one of our partners that takes some of the load off of your plates in terms of management and trafficking in the self-serve platforms. We know that that can be really time consuming. Now, all these stats are really generally speaking, so we wanted to show you on the next slide what a frequent domestic traveler profile looks like in terms of media consumption. We have this tool that takes millions of data points. We could get really nerdy if you want to at the end, from consumers across the US. So these data points not only include survey responses, but also passive digital monitoring of online behaviors. So it's a really well-rounded picture of what these frequent travelers are doing. You can see we have some general demographic information here on the left and a few snippets that I pulled out what was high indexing for this audience in terms of media channels. So you'll notice that Instagram, Spectrum News, travel content on Travel and Leisure, AARP, lots of OTT platforms, these all align with the programs that we're actually about to walk through. So you'll know that these programs are not just pulled willy-nilly. We're really putting these in front of you, knowing that there's research backs what makes sense from a marketing standpoint. And then before we dive in too deep, I want to ground us in how we're thinking about some of these programs, define some key terms, and lay out a map of sorts so we have some wayfinding and baseline knowledge as we move through some of the programs offered. So I know this is really ugly, but some of these words are media lingo that are not sometimes as they appear. So I just wanted to kind of ground us in some of these. So display, think of display as like digital billboards, right? They can show up as banners, rectangles, square graphics alongside your content that your audience is reading or watching online. So it's really great for building brand awareness and driving traffic to the website. High impact, these are not your standard banners. So it's a little bit different than display, where display is kind of standard sizes. They include high formats. So homepage takeovers, expanding ads, anything that kind of engages a full screen takeover as you kind of hover over it. There's a ton of different ways that these actually can come to life. But what they're really used for is making that bold impression and capturing attention to drive that awareness. Connected TV and OTT, these are usually spoken about together. So this is how advertisers reach the cord cutters, right? Who stream those shows through platforms like Hulu, Peacock, not to be confused with our Peacock, Tubi, Sling, ads that appear during those breaks in streaming content. It's really similar to how commercials are appearing on cable TV. I know you guys know that because I'm sure 90% of you have one or more streaming service. But it's with better targeting, right? So to a consumer, it feels the same. But from a marketing standpoint, there's benefits to doing the streaming to get that more nuanced viewer. There are a few kind of nuanced differences when you hear CTV versus OTT. I'm going to try and make it really easy, which, like I said, they usually get lumped together unless you ask explicitly what's included in your media plan. You might not know, what you're actually buying. So CTV is exactly what it sounds like. It's literally a connected TV, a connected television. It's the big screen. Think of like a Roku or your Vizio, those types of things. OTT is a myriad of screens. So for example, when I'm traveling, I'm watching Hulu on my iPad, which is an OTT play. But when I'm at home, I'm watching it on my smart TV, which would be connected TV, if that makes sense. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Pre-roll video, you've probably seen these before, like a YouTube video or when you're watching a video that accompanies a news article or something you're reading. Brands use pre-roll to deliver their message when viewers are most engaged. So right before we're about to watch something that we've chosen to engage with, they're usually 6 to 30 seconds, can be skippable and non-skippable. Native ads are designed to blend in. So they appear across the web, usually within content recommendation widgets is where they're most commonly found, but they're really made to look like the surrounding editorial content, but they're actually paid. Sometimes you won't even know the difference. So instead of standing out like a traditional banner ad, native ads are really aimed to feel natural to the user's browsing experience so that they're not coming across as overtly advertising. They often include headlines, images, copy that kind of match the tone of the platform that you're spending your time on. CPM is a buying model for most media types. So all that means is it's cost per 1,000 impressions, which leads me to what is an impression. So every time your ad appears on someone's screen, that counts as one impression. So whether or not the person clicks or engages, that really just tells you how often was my message seen. And it's also important to note that these are not unique figures. So if I visit a website and I get served your ad, that counts as one impression. If I saw your same ad 20 minutes later, I'd be counted again. So there is duplication in your impression numbers. Okay, that was a lot. But let's talk a little bit more about the fun stuff like the programs. So this funnel is how we've approached our go-to-market with some of our programs or all of our programs. We have awareness programs that are designed to introduce and inspire travel. We have consideration programs that move consumers from a daydream mindset to an actual exploratory kind of action taking. And then we have conversion programs that are designed to seal the deal and really drive visitation. So ultimately, once they've arrived, that's where you all come in. Our program map, you might remember this from the partner program presentation, but I think it's really helpful in terms of wayfinding. So if you have a goal of awareness, that top of the funnel, your KPIs might look like reach or brand recall, right? If so, the programs on the right are actually going to help you achieve this best. Similarly, if you have a goal of consideration, so mid-funnel play, you might be looking at KPIs that are about people engaging with your ad, so clicking through your website to learn more about what you have to offer. And then there are a handful of programs, again, that fit this subset as well. And then lastly, while a conversion can come from obviously any time in any of the programs above, we do have one lower funnel program that really reaches consumers that are hand raising, saying, I am interested in coming to North Carolina or a competitive state, and I'm about to book my trip. So let's message them. And that is Sojourn. So we'll talk a little bit about our awareness programs first. This is a really ugly slide, but I didn't know how to make it pretty, so my apologies. First, let's talk about linear TV. So it's the only traditional channel that I'm actually going to talk about today because I think our print programs are pretty widely known. But I want to talk about it because it's newer to the mix, and I want to remind everyone that this actually makes TV buying super approachable in a channel where it's usually pretty high cost of entry. We have pretty affordable schedules in specific markets that I've listed here to really focus on those live tune-in moments, like I mentioned, like news or any kind of travel or tentpole events. So where we know people are watching in real time versus time shifted, which is more of your CTV or OTT play. If you remember from that traveler profile slide we saw a few minutes ago, spectrum index is really high for that frequent traveler. So this plays really nicely into the media mix. And they even have production coverage. So if you need help and you don't have a true TV ready spot, there is assistance with that as well. So let's talk about the digital awareness programs. So we have a number of display programs here, which are great for two things: measurable impact, because you can actually see that direct correlation from paid media spend to web traffic through tagging and using any kind of like UTM parameters on your landing pages to look at through your web analytics platforms. But it's also a great way to get a ton of impressions for your dollar. These CPMs will be always lower than any other format like video or audio. Excuse me. It's also a nice way to align your message with relevant content super easily. So a couple examples that we have in the plan are AARP, AccuWeather, Garden and Gun. Those kind of fit into that display bucket. We also have some high impact opportunities with Garden and Gun's homepage takeover. So if you're not familiar, that's a 100% share of voice, meaning no other advertisers are on the page when someone visits that homepage. So super in your face, can't miss your message. ARP, we saw index really high in that frequent traveler profile as well. And it's a great way to get in front of that retire NC audience. And then OTT and CTV, I think we covered off on pretty well at this point, but again, this program will allow you to achieve that big screen feel of linear TV and marry it with the cross-screen approach of OTT to reach your audiences in a super targeted way, wherever they're streaming their chosen content. And it's also worth noting that with CTV and OTT, those are forced views, right? So meaning there's no skipping the ads on the platforms. If you want to watch that content, you have to be exposed and watch our ad. And then lastly, I wanted to call out Hype Auditor, which is new this year. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about that one because we're super excited about it. I know creator content landscape, if we're talking about fragmentation, creator content is just as fragmenting and it's overwhelming, especially as you're trying to start, identifying talent, making sure they don't have anything unseen that might not be favorable, and then trying to find a way to connect with them to start negotiating. So this tool makes it super easy to do all of that. And our team of experts, they're here to help. So what our team does is take an input document from you all that outlines exactly who and what you're looking for. And then we'll provide you with a list of creators from this tool. This is just an aggregator of data for you to take the reins from there. So we're happy to provide contract templates since the legalities and usage rights can be overwhelming. I'm definitely not a lawyer. But as of right now, I believe this is actually sold out. I think we had room for 5 partners the first go around. But the thought is to expand this if there is interest. And so we just included some visual examples of each one. So you can see what Hype Auditor looks like from a creator output standpoint. This is what it would look like. We would package this up nicely into a PowerPoint presentation and share it with you. I think we give a handful of creators that meet kind of your brief details. And then AARP, I tried to put little red boxes around where the actual ads are because sometimes it's hard in a screenshot to see kind of where these live. You can tell I'm a mom because this is an ad that I was served. This is not a partner currently, but the wet wipes ad there, if you can't see that, I'm definitely being targeted there. So in some of the screenshots, you'll see we tried to include a current partner program where possible. And here's AccuWeather. So again, those display ads on the top of your desktop, and then your 300 by 250 square on mobile. Garden and Gun, this is another example of display. It's kind of a larger format. I think that's 970 by 250. So again, really great kind of big in your face ad on top of the food and drink. These ones, so hard to do a screenshot of a CTV ad and an audio ad, but my design skills are not up to par. I did my best here. And actually we can listen to this audio spot quickly if it'll work for us. Okay, we'll skip that one. Let's talk about consideration programs. So again, this is our kind of mid-funnel driving travelers to add to your destination to their consideration set for their next trip. We're really focused on mindset here. So endemic alignments meet potential travelers where they're already exploring travel content across sites like Travel and Leisure, TripAdvisor, etc. We have a ton of different programs that are going to fit here. I'm going to let Stacy actually talk about Travel Guide because this fits nicely into this bucket as well.
As Nicole mentioned, one of the primary vehicles for consideration in visiting North Carolina is the official North Carolina Travel Guide. We have both a print and a digital edition. Both are distributed annually. They come out in December and they're distributed at the state's welcome centers to advertising or inquiries. And the digital edition lives within Visit NC's website. You can go to the next slide. And I also wanted to mention it's polybagged in dotdash Meredith brands such as Southern Living and Travel and Leisure, Better Homes and Gardens in the state's top markets. One of the things we did in 2024 is we actually did a reader survey. Yes.
Could you tell the audience what a polybag is real quick?
Oh yeah. So polybagging, when you get a magazine and it has like a wrap around it, like an insert, it's on the outside of a brand. So say you get Southern Living and you see like this wrap around it, the travel guide will actually be in the front of that magazine. So literally for them to open that magazine, when they subscribe to it, the travel guide will be distributed in that. And North Carolina picks the top markets that it goes to. And obviously that has 100% open rate. So that has been a very effective program. And, we work with them on which brands they want to be in every year. And those usually come out at the first quarter of the year. And there's 60,000 copies that we distribute that way. So all your ads that appear in the travel guide, if you're in the travel guide, you will also be basically included within those magazines. And if anybody has any questions on that, feel free to let me know. One of the things we did in 2024 is we actually, it's one thing to think that like, oh, does this work? We're all proud of the travel guide and we think it's great, but we actually went to the readers and did a survey to see how the travel guide was doing and it's effective. And what we found is our readers that read the North Carolina travel guide are actively seeking new experiences and adventures. In fact, 93% of people after they get the travel guide are likely to visit North Carolina. The readers of the travel guide spend an average of $2,650 per 5-day trip in North Carolina, and 87% find the North Carolina travel guide helpful resource. The other thing that's kind of really cool is 62% of the readers that we polled actually keep the travel guide for long term to plan for the future. So when you advertise in the travel guide, it's actually like an evergreen piece. A lot of people keep it on their coffee table to research and stuff like that. So it has, we do a different guide every year, some of the people have had, I mean, people have guides for years. So it definitely has a long-term exposure to consumers that are actively seeking more information on what there is to see, do, and visit in North Carolina. We are selling the North Carolina travel guide. We're still got positions available, and I just want to let everyone know that's on this call. If there's any interest or if you have any questions, we're always willing to work. We want to get as many partners in the guide and to support this piece. You can go to the next slide. Oh,
Thank you, Stacey. I needed the break for a drink of water. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about consideration programs. So endemic alignments is really our focus here. Like I said, it meets potential travelers where they're already exploring travel content, like Travel and Leisure, TripAdvisor, etc. That's where our curated whitelist of premium travel websites come in. It's basically buying direct on really targeted and contextually aligned websites without having to go direct to all of them. Our custom programs through our partner RState also fit this bill. So RState's e-newsletter series and custom article, those are two ways we've brought custom content to partner programs without the huge price tag. There's spots for a handful of different partners in each program, which already brings that negotiated cost down even more. So really love these programs. We see really great engagement as well. Leaning into an authentic voice to seed that content and message to a like-minded reader within an environment that they trust and love feels really authentic. And research shows that these types of buys drive stronger results. So, plus outside dedicated e-newsletter is another way we tap into that extended audience of loyal readers. So the dedicated e-newsletter is really basically 100% share of voice. It's not a banner buried in a newsletter. It's 100% share of voice of your content delivered right to the inbox of outside subscribers. So a really nice way to tap into subscribers of a high open rate newsletter that are not your own. And then lastly, we've included paid social here. Paid social is a top performer for some of VNC's paid programs. So due to the way that we can target mindset and interests, it's also a lean in and exploratory nature, you know, on these platforms. So really strong engagement there. And these are some more visual examples. So you can kind of see Timeout, Travel and Leisure. Those are a couple of sites on the whitelist of relevant sites. Paid social, I don't think anyone needs to see a screenshot of paid social. I think we've all seen those before. And then custom article, if there's detailed questions, Hannah has been really ingrained in helping partners take advantage of this and kind of curating the list of all relevant partners to tie into one theme. So this is an example of, you know, in the mountains, 9 can't miss fall adventures. A handful of partners were able to take advantage of this and put one piece of content out there that feels really seamless and holistic for the state of North Carolina. And same story with the e-newsletter series. So this was field trips, right, Hannah? So kind of a fun ways to, you know, get outside and do some adventuring in North Carolina. There was a handful of partners that opted into this one. And from a reader perspective, it's a nice theme of kind of types of content that work really nicely together. And then an example of what the dedicated e-newsletter looks like.
So this was bucket list, and now this current year, we're gonna do field trips for
Gotcha.
our state. Yep.
And we try and kind of tailor those themes to, you know, based on which partners are opting in. So super custom. Okay. Conversion programs. Let's talk about it. There's only one here. Lastly, but surely not least. So Sojourn is another stellar performer within our own campaigns that we've actually seen drive direct impact on bookings through some of our measurement partners. They partner with various OTAs to be able to layer the traveler intent data into their targeting capabilities. So you know you're reaching potential travelers with a high likelihood to convert. So they have display, native, and pre-roll video options here. So we've talked about all three of those tactic types. They each play a role and they each drive kind of different types of engagement, whether it's, pre-roll is really focused on that awareness and storytelling. Native is kind of that custom kind of native authentic to the platform piece without getting super custom. And then display is really your efficient awareness driver. So kind of coupling these together is actually a really nice way to take advantage of some of the data that they have as an option. And then they also do an impact report at the end of your campaigns too. So you can really see kind of what your direct campaign impact was on, searches for bookings or flights or hotels. And this is what it looks like. So native is that box there on the left. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the, recommended for you, read this next type of ad. This is a type of that. And then just another example of some pre-roll there as well. But again, super relevant from a contextual standpoint, but also super highly targeted.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. So next steps, how can we help? So with the partner programs team, we'd be happy to schedule a kickoff call with you all to just make sure any of these programs are fitting for you. I know a lot of information was just placed on you. So if there's any questions we can answer, make sure that this is something that you would, have the capabilities of buying into. Our email is here on this slide, but also it's on the brochure and, can be found elsewhere. But we would be happy to, schedule a call to just make sure this is something you can buy into and move forward with. And then our next slide is we're going to leave for any questions and answers that we can provide.
Right. Did we get anyone with a question? I didn't see any in the Q&A, so we can open it up right now. If anyone out there has a question, just throw it in the Q&A and we're happy to take a look. All right, well, we are always around and here for you, as we said. So I know we went through a lot today. So if you guys take a look at the deck, which will be up on our partner's website after this recording here today, and take a look at it. If you have any questions down the road, we're here for you. And our next webinar next month is going to be Marlise is going to be sharing a snippet of our POAT study, as we call it. So the Portrait of American Traveler, get a little bit more information on the latest visitor profile data that we have of who is coming to North Carolina, what's driving their visit, where are they going, what are they doing while they're here. So some fresh data to kind of help you guys make some decisions and move forward as you get into, Q3 here, looking ahead for marketing and research purposes. So looking forward to seeing you all on that webinar. Save the
Hey,
date
Scott.
and feel free to register. Yeah, Guy.
I appreciate you teeing up that next webinar, but we do have a few questions that came in, so
Okay.
just want to make sure they're covered. One in particular, when it was asked about people's favorite magazines, what was there a difference between a digital version or a print version?
Yeah, there's actually really strong readership indexes for print titles still. So while the digital readership actually skews more for like news magazines that we've seen, the kind of travel endemic is still pretty heavily in the print space, in the printed space.
Great. Stacy, do you see in terms of the travel guide similar responses? I guess obviously we've talked about how the travel guide does remain kind of a keep piece for people, and it seems almost evergreen, but same kind of thing on the website with the digital version?
I mean, absolutely. I think, believe it or not, people still like to have a hard copy sometime and lean into. And the travel guide basically is storytelling for North Carolina. And, we got a lot to cover. So, definitely the digital version, is there for people, but you know, obviously the preference seems to be still the hard copy. And again, it is, people even take it on their trips. So I hear from the Welcome Center people all the time, like, you know, when they're getting out or people request them. So there definitely is a lean in. And in general, because I work with a lot of brands in addition, we see very little duplication between the print and digital. Like, so if you're at travelleisure.com and the Travel and Leisure print reader. So
Mhm.
it's great that you're in both, have the opportunity for both.
Awesome, thank you. And Scott, can you remind us or direct partners where they can find additional information about the co-op, which would probably include some of the pricing information?
Yeah, if you
Or
guys want to
Hannah?
go, sure. If you guys want to go to partners.visitnc.com, and we can throw it in the chat real quick too before we log off. But partners.visitnc.com, that's the website. And then on the navigation on the left side, you'll see a section called Partner Programs, 2025-26. If you click on that page, you'll get a little bit of a high-level overview of what we offer, and then there's a link there to open up the entire brochure to see all of the co-op offerings that we offer, including the pricings for them. And there's also a link on that page to take a look at our sign-up sheet. So after you've looked through it, if you're interested in signing up, you can do that right from that web page as well. And then obviously we've got our contact info there if you are looking at it but want to talk to us a little bit first and maybe come up with a game plan or get some recommendations. We're happy to do that as well. So that can all be found at partners.visitnc.com, and then look for the partner programs page or tab on that website.
And I should know this. Sorry, this is Guy. That it's a voice of God feel all of a sudden. But Hannah, does that partners page, does it stay up to date in terms of what may be sold out versus what's still available?
Good question. So unfortunately, no, it's just kind of a PDF of the pricing and what the programs are. So if anything is unavailable, that would be something you'd have to talk to the partner programs team about. But with paid media, we have a pretty extensive list. So sold out is really not an option. So that's the beauty of that. I think the only program that we have that's quote unquote sold out is a Hype Auditor. But like Nicole mentioned, we are looking into, extending that. So if that's something you're interested in, we could make that work for you as well.
Yeah,
And
if you're in,
yeah.
I was gonna say, if you guys are interested in that Hype Auditor, content creator influencer vetting, software program, please let us know, because we'll kind of add you to a queue, and we're going through sort of a pilot program with those that signed up at the conference for. So we want to get through their programs first and kind of get some learnings from it and get it dialed in, and then we definitely intend to open that up again to more partners in the not too distant future here. So so if you're interested, get on the list now, and that way we can ping you when we open it back up.
And Nicole, are you available to talk with partners or someone with the team with your guidance on what to look for or what might be good returns on investment, if you will, related to the different options?
Yeah, I would love nothing more. Hannah usually pulls me in when some of those questions come up, so I'm here to help.
Great. So another resource if everyone wasn't aware on that. Okay. One more question did come in. How would the native and sojourn campaigns different from something like Google PMAX, like a
Mhm.
Google PMAX campaign?
Yes, great question. The Performance Max campaigns in Google are only using Google data, so all of that is just basically search query data that Google's has access to. Sojourn actually has similar in terms of search data, but they're pulling it from like an Expedia or whatever other OTAs, Booking.com, whatever else it is, where people are searching on those platforms directly. Google doesn't have access to that data. But similar in terms of the way it's visually presented to a consumer, just different targeting.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole.
Good question, Dave.
Scott?
That's it. We put the link specifically to that partner program in the chat. So if you guys have a minute before you log off, grab it from there. But again, you can find everything at partners@visitnc.com, and we are happy to talk to you guys at any point about ideas or kick the can, or even just, I don't know where to start, please help me, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, and we can build some options for you. So we'd love to work with you guys. We'd love to work with DMOs. We'd love to work with individual businesses. We're here to help anyone. So really appreciate you guys' time today, and thanks for attending. Looking forward to having everybody rejoin us next month for the Portrait of American Traveler profile study.
And with that, thanks everyone, and hope you all have a great day.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.